What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the BlockHash podcast. Happy New Year once again. Have another exciting guest to kick off the year, Val Kleyman, CEO of AdValorem Market, who will be discussing how they are pioneering the future of digital assets and asset digitalization. Excited to talk with him. He's here on the show today. Val, welcome to the show, man. It's a pleasure to have you on. How you doing?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
To kick things off, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? I'm sure people would be kind of curious to hear how you kind of got into the Web3 space. Everyone's got a cool and unique story. Want to hear yours. So what's it been like, and how did you end up in this wonderful world?
Well, thanks for having me. I'm extremely delighted to share that what we've originally promised at AdValorem first back in 2017 is finally coming true and going live. Most of it already is. The tokenization of real world assets on the blockchain is finally a reality today. And with AdVNFTs, it'll be even better when we implement the rest of the current roadmap later this year. I got into Web3 not by accident. I believe I was thrusted here to make a difference. And I believe my unique perspective with real world assets is why I'm so passionate about making this change in the world. During 2020 pandemic, I saw story after story about businesses closing down, with no access to capital, no hope, no way to move assets around. It triggered me to come up with this idea. It didn't happen to me. When the overreaching government just shuts you down, you really have nowhere to go and no one can help you. That's not freedom. That's totalitarianism. That is when I fell in love with Web3 and the concept of decentralization. Because if you had tokenized your business, passion, hobby, property on the blockchain, you could tap into that market and your supporters can help you overcome. The problem is access to decentralized social capital. I'll give you an example. If instead of your house being secured by a bank, it would be secured by a DEX pair on a decentralized exchange supported by the community that loves you, you would not have a problem tapping that community to help you rebuild. You know, we were just talking about it, but the horrific arsonists of alleged terrorists, police believe it's arson in the wildfires of California, and in North Carolina or virtually any place where people suffer due to centralized access to capital, there's no way out. But if you create a few AdVNFTs and your community helps you by owning it with you, you're no longer alone and you can grow out of that issue, and you can grow out of the issues that are forced upon you by those centralized governments. This is unlike just ordinary digital products like a subscription or a course. This is ownership. But of course, you can tokenize those too.
No, it's horrible, what's going on right now in California, and I feel for a lot of people there as well, and can relate, having lived there part of my life. And at the same time, tokenization is a very fascinating side of the space that seems to have really accelerated over the last year or two. I think there's a lot more interest in what it can do in terms of digitizing assets and putting them on chain, and some of the ways that can generate additional value and liquidity that wasn't there before. So it's a very, very fascinating side of the space. And how does that kind of play into AdValorem and AdValorem Market and what you guys are kind of working on? What do you have put together that's involved when it comes to tokenization?
So AdValorem Market is simply a decentralized platform that allows users to create, trade, and monetize AdVNFTs while offering 100% royalty distributions to creators, resellers, and your loyal supporters. It operates on Polygon blockchain. We're now adding support for Base, and enables the creation of digital assets that allow value to be traded on a DEX. I want to talk about the fires of California. I run a small charity called Love of Humanity. It's our family charity that's geared up to help people donate property, cars, assets, even crypto. Currently, we're starting a new initiative that lets homeowners donate their property and get massive tax deductions for the maximum allowable limits by the IRS. But that shouldn't happen. If the property were on a DEX, your value would still exist and your community could rally to support you. And that's how true asset tokenization should work. To continue with our first example, your equity is locked in the home and then the home burns down. Plus, you still owe money to the banks and you have to keep paying, even if your insurance doesn't cover the damage, right? State Farm left a few months ago. Well, that's crazy, right? But if your home was on a DEX, you could issue an AdVNFT, create a campaign to support that process with decentralization. You would no longer owe money to the bank. You would be part owner in a community, but you still live there. Of course, those rights don't transfer.
Interesting. So you're saying that you could take your physical home, in this case, the property, like if you were a resident in California going through this right now, and you could put that on chain as a ADV NFT, correct?
Why not? Why not? All the benefits are there. The complexity isn't there anymore. We can simply tokenize it, throw it on a DEX after it hits the bonding curve and overcomes. The results are much better than borrowing from a single entity, being beholden to that entity almost forever. Overpaying your property by 2.5 times throughout the life of that loan through the more amortization schedule and all those things, it just doesn't make sense anymore in this world.
How would a loan on chain work versus doing like a traditional loan through a bank or a mortgage?
We don't do loans on chain. We're tokenizing the asset itself. So if you want to do a loan or something else, that's somebody else. We don't do that. We're just tokenizing the asset. We're throwing it on a DEX. Your community can vote for it and follow you and support that.
Okay, but you could take the NFT itself and you could take it somewhere else within the Web3 ecosystem probably to get some kind of liquidity or loan.
I mean, once you have trust and once people understand that you're not out there to just run away, you can create businesses out of this thing. You can say, I'm going to tokenize those 10 properties. Help me do that on a DEX, and then we collect the rents and we separate them or something like that. All of that is now possible. We were just talking about it a few years ago. Now it's actually possible. That's very different.
Have you seen any use cases of that being done already today? Is this available today?
I believe I've seen Proppy try and start doing that. A couple of others, but nothing so prevalent as to say, well, we can just do that. It involves a lot of complexity. There's a lot of paperwork. There's title companies and research that needs to be done. There's a lot of things that are in the way of that process for a property, for a house, for a business. But if you can overcome all that and you're okay with the variables, there shouldn't be an issue just tokenizing that.
Is it usually the paperwork that holds it back, you think, and the bureaucracy behind it a little bit?
The fragmentation of the market plays into people's hands, like investors and people who want to speculate. So it's an important aspect of it. People who want to just overcome and kind of put everything into one bucket, that creates even more complexity because now you have a centralized oversight on that. But if you reduce that and put it on a DEX and keep it simple, then you don't have any of those worries. And it really depends on how your community embraces it.
If someone want to create an AdVNFT, maybe for this purpose, for example, they own it 100%, right? I believe you mentioned that. Are there any royalty fees or anything associated with creation or sales of that NFT?
So during our creation process, you're given an option to basically create a straightforward transaction or a royalty NFT. The royalty NFT is on chain and through smart contracts. So you're not tinkering with the royalties on the back end. There's no way to do that. Once you mint the NFT, you're never going to change those royalties. And those royalties are perpetual. So every single transaction transfers royalties as it flows. There's like 12 or 14 transactions in every single hash that we do on the royalty side. And that's all automated through Polygon, and we don't have to worry about that. We just set it and forget it.
What other kinds of assets could be digitized and tokenized through ADV NFTs? You mentioned real estate. That's a really good example, but how far could you take it?
So first of all, there's no royalty fees besides the small 2.5% transaction fee in VLR, our digital token. And creators not only own their ADV NFTs, but traders can redeem them from the creators for real value. So if that's how the creator structures the ADV NFT, there are tons of examples on our site right now. The ADV NFTs are digital assets created by our marketplace, but they're yours to own, and they represent the physical or the digital. They're currently available and can be used for asset decentralization. Creators own their ADV NFTs 100% and can earn royalties on private sales. They can also distribute royalties through our smart contracts. So there's really no dispute about who owns what. It's all there in the hash.
Other than, specifically real estate or even broadly, whether it's physical or digital asset, like could you tokenize, a third party item you bought at a luxury goods store? Could you tokenize, some gold and silver you dig up in a mine? What's the kind of the limits of where maybe you could take an ADV NFT? Are you industry focused in a certain sector? Is it open to the imagination? Like, where do you want that to evolve?
Imagination is a great point. So we are currently running multiple campaigns to identify traditional businesses that want to partner with us to allow us to beta test our upcoming pump feature with them. So I'm extremely excited about this functionality. It's truly a game changer. Key benefits include faster access to liquidity, efficient asset management, transparent records. Other benefits include such as massive engagement, as all the stakeholders have access through the DEX. Every business and creator can create an AdVNFT. The key is to try it. And for this, we have a freemium version on the site, along with an airdrop that goes to every single user that tries it and signs up. We're building into decentralization with the aspect of safe harbor thinking. So we think that'll be the regulatory pillar that comes down the pipe, but who knows? We just want to be good actors about it.
Okay, what was that called again? Pump functionality?
Yeah, so our pump functionality is a twist on pump.funds functionality. So if you're familiar with Solana pump and dump schemes and the rug pulls, those are, in our opinion, not the best way to use pump functionality. We think that pump functionality has legitimacy behind it that is being misused at this point. And we are implementing a version of it on our site to help with real world asset tokenization.
And then do you guys have any use cases that you can highlight to kind of give people an example to help them delineate a little bit between the use for ADV NFTs, whether it's for creators or for businesses? Like, is this something that's very brand new that's just come out, or have you guys kind of piloted some use cases out there?
Yeah, so I'll give you two examples. Imagine a coffee shop rewarding loyal customers with coffee coin for free drinks on a DEX. Imagine a fitness studio motivating members with fit tokens for for exclusive access to some sort of classes on a DEX. In the coffee shop scenario, the coffee shop would launch an ERC20, part of a loyalty program. The owner creates a pump campaign where token holders of coffee coin earn free coffee for a month or an exclusive benefit or something that's redeemable. And then the customers actively participate, boosting the token trading value and creating buzz around the actual coffee shop. In the boutique fitness scenario, you have a fitness studio that launches the Fitcoin to reward members for attending classes or referring friends. The studio runs a pump campaign where participants can win exclusive NFTs redeemable for free personal sessions or merchandise or whatever. Members engage more with the studio, increasing that brand loyalty where Fit Token gains trading value and popularity.
Interesting. I like the brand loyalty side of it. So as the podcast, I could have my own ADV NFT and I could give it out to people that listen to the episode or maybe share it with other people and maybe use that as like a loyalty system and have some kind of value give at the end of that, right?
Yeah, for creators and businesses, ADV NFTs offer advantages like AI-powered design support. We have zero inventory risk, the ability to reach global audience without barriers. Businesses can use them for exclusive offerings, interactive experiences, fostering loyalty. One way we do this is we allow creators to create products on our site, which would then become real and sellable through our Amazon and Shopify integration. All it takes is really one click after you mint your NFT and create your image, and your stuff goes for sale with a QR code on the back. I don't know if you've seen the Trump video where a guy's wearing a QR code on the back, and it takes him to the Trump video, and he's dancing over there. Similar to that, it brings you back to the ADV NFT that it all started from, and that's powerful. That's like using intellectual property to support your creativity and being protected by it. Oh, I forgot to mention. So the merch that's sold on AdValorem Market isn't ours. It's our users. It's our customer base. And it belongs to the creator. It earns creators money by selling merch. And when you sell that particular NFT from which the merch is created to someone else, your future merch sales go with it. It's like transferring a business using our NFTs. Isn't that insane? Like, I'm super pumped about that.
It seems like a much more fluid way to transfer your business or business assets or to do business to make things more liquid, easier in the market. I imagine there's probably a degree of, I don't know, legislation, regulation that might have to come out at some point to kind of help lay some groundwork for how some of this kind of functions. Because the business world in the US has a lot of laws. It's very convoluted at times and um, kind of hard to navigate. I have issues all the time, especially when it comes to Web3. But this would be very nice to have in a lot of aspects, especially with IP too. You mentioned that just a little bit earlier. I've always thought that NFTs would be a really good way to help fight back against like the counterfeit industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's a multi-billion-dollar industry that actually is, hurts a lot of different companies. Could you see ADV NFTs maybe being adopted by a larger company at some point, maybe being used to help verify a shoe brand or help, know that a product is actually coming from a sourced destination? It feels like a really good way to provide a degree of like verifiability
Mm-hmm.
and authenticity at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally to that asset's value and that asset's transferability.
I'm really excited to address that point. Before I do, though, we are partnering with another firm that connects us with professionals for DMCA takedown notice filers. They do counter notice response handling. They focus on expert copyright infringement guidance, and they're all backed by a trusted legal partner. So when you create your ADV NFT and your merch images, they will not be infringed upon, or if they are infringed upon, they will be taken down at some point. It is a paid service, so you do have to pay for that, but it is possible, and then you can remove all those people who are infringing on sites like Temu, who are in violation of your copyright, basically, of your IP. But, our 25 roadmap is very interesting because up until this point, we've only been building infrastructure. Now we are able to design what I actually had envisioned back when we first started. And so, we're builders. I build in stealth until it's done. I'm not going to tell you everything about it until it's finished. I'm sure there are many others like me in that respect. And I think we're all it's like this one big wave that's coming up. If real world tokenization is to grab hold, we need to start acting like adults. And we need to create regulations and follow them together. I've done this in a different industry. I think it's the right way forward.
I think so too, and I think it'd solve a lot of problems very quickly. So I'm very excited to see how that plays out in the near future because I know that's been problematic for a lot of people. I used to work a lot with individuals in the art industry too, and they have the same issue with proving things like provenance and originality, and then when they want to resell a piece of art because it's such a subjective industry, being able to prove that it's real. um, and NFTs have actually really helped with that. So I'm excited to see maybe how they can be more broadly applied in that aspect too. Another thing I wanted to ask you is artificial intelligence has been growing quite rapidly over the last couple of years as well, and seems to integrate pretty well with the Web3 space and with blockchain. And curious if you guys have any plans maybe to bridge AI with some of the ADV NFTs, or if there's any potential integrations there that might be exciting that you guys are working on. What can you tell us if there is?
In terms of image generation, there are now so many players out there that can do a really good job. We're not really focusing on the image part right now. At the moment, all the AI, so I run an angel syndicate as well, and we run rounds for AI companies all the time. That area is right now we're focused on infrastructure and architecture. So we're investing in the roads, the building blocks of everything that will come as a result of it. There is a large initiative to bring up more energy from small nuclear reactors to various other places like Greenland. We're going to get energy from, apparently, whatever. But the idea is we need energy to bring up all that infrastructure, because once quantum computing comes around, and whether or not that is a threat to this industry remains to be seen. But I believe quantum will be here in 5 years. I believe a personal quantum computer will exist in about 10, if not less. We are implementing basic infrastructure to be able to make the functionality of the site work. We are trying to make it functional, usable, easy to use. I've implemented AI image generation through Stable Diffusion, but it's not as great right now. Sora is coming out with amazing stuff. Kling comes out with, real life videos. There's artificial intelligence movies now made. We can't keep up. So we are focusing on what we need to focus on, and we are building into the 25 roadmap. I have two amazing functionalities that I need to deploy. That is really what I'm trying to focus on.
Well, tell me more about the 2025 roadmap. I know you mentioned a few things earlier, but what are you guys trying to tackle this year? What are you most excited for? And what do you want people to keep an eye out for once it comes?
So we're focusing on two things on our 25 roadmap, Pump and Vault. Those functionalities are really the core of what I want to build out on the app. Because right now we have the infrastructure and we have a couple of great developers working. We're a small team. I'm a team of like 4 or 5. We're not big at all, and I don't intend to become big. Our supporters will bridge that gap for us in the future. But the first function is the VLR router. That's a game changer for our platform. It's a little golden coin that sits on the bottom left. This comprehensive tool will integrate several key functionalities. It includes the particle wallet integration for seamless user auth, swap functions, token exchanges, liquidity provisions right now. But a major highlight of the roadmap is our Punk feature that I alluded to earlier, which will support the AdVNFTs and tokens, offering users the choice between a VLR token reward or an AdVNFT as an incentive. We're also implementing a 12-month lockup period for liquidity to ensure stability and long-term engagement to prevent rug pulls. I've made a lot of videos on YouTube about rug pulls. I despise rug pulls. I think that's the ultimate scam. And there's no worse feeling that when you know you were rugged and someone is bragging about it. It is the worst. So I'm trying to build it in so that I can fix it, so that I can make it workable through our app. And the 12-month lockup is one way of doing that. We're also planning significant improvements to the user profiles and dashboards. We're going to implement public profile pages, dedicated public profile pages, and enhanced subscription management tiers. And with these developments, we aim to create a more integrated, user-friendly ecosystem that kind of bridges the gap between traditional assets and the digital world, setting a new standard for the space. The second functionality is the AdValorem NFT Vault. This is still a work in progress. We're still designing, even thinking about it, but this will overlay inside the router. And it's going to revolutionize NFT marketplace yet again. With its innovative approach of security, privacy, and versatility, this comprehensive tool will combine several features that will create a unique platform. And at the heart of it is our enhanced ERC20 pump that allows you to create and trade ERC20s tied to specific AdVNFTs you're creating, leveraging 721 and 1155 for increased functionality. A key feature is the implementation of the transaction privatization using ZK proofs. And that'll ensure the transfer events are publicly visible while keeping sale information private, unlockable by both users if they determine to do so. The Vault also introduces a separate set of functions in the VLR router for Vault operations, secure storage of physical assets backed by NFTs, and the development of file NFTs with restricted access. So the platform will also generate transaction confirmation pages, purchase certificates, storing them on IPFS, and linking them to a DEX and creator profiles. I know that's a lot, but we've been working on it for a long time.
How will the vault be accessible? Would you just go to like the website to get access to it, to be able to use it? Or is that something that's just kind of on the back end?
We're still evolving the concept, but I think the vault will be accessible by the two parties that engage. So if a creator has a transaction that's, for sale, listed, or you're claimable, well, you can also gift NFTs on our platform, if nothing else. You can also say, well, I have let's say you have a podcast and you want to make 10 NFTs and you want to give them out so that people start trading and following you. And it's kind of like an early adopter type concept. Basically, anybody that signs up gets that airdrop. And with the airdrop, since we're account abstracted, you are literally able to just claim that gift. And now I own it. So now I own your podcast NFT. I can sell it if I feel your podcast is doing really well for more, less, depends.
Interesting. Any release dates for both Pump and Volt?
The pump should be released in about 4 to 5 weeks. We have a couple of early potential customers that we're working with. We're always building into the customer. I'm not going to launch something that I think won't work. So I want to talk to a customer. I want to find product market fit. Web3 is nearly impossible to find product market fit because no customers really believe you because of all the frauds and scams. And it's almost impossible to get appointments when you say you're Web3. So instead of saying Web3, you have to use other terminology for people to really understand. And as creators and builders, it's hard. It's hard to minimize these concepts to a person that just can click and drag. That's very difficult, but eventually we'll get to that. The Vault, later this year, we need to launch deploy pump so that it works well. And the Vault will be finalized sometime later this year.
Can you touch on who some of those clients are or what industries they work in? Like, are these like platforms and exchanges? Are they institutions? Are they SMEs of a different variety? Just kind of curious, like who you guys are trying to partner with.
So, it's a good point. The original idea that I got for this app was when I was sitting in a barbershop. I was sitting in a barbershop and I see this whole ecosystem of people talking, having fun. They know each other. It's like a second home, And I love that idea. And I'm thinking, wow, if only there was something that you guys could grab onto as opposed to just doing USD fiat transactions. If only there was a way that I can bring you together using this same concept, but not for my purposes, not for you to join my app. No, for you to launch something for your barbershop. So originally I started marketing barbershops. And if you go on our YouTube page, you can see a bunch of videos of me creating barbershop related videos. I'm not very good at making videos, but
I've seen the website. It makes sense.
Thank you. I'm trying.
I was like, it's got like a barbershop kind of feel, like guy on there.
Yeah, it's like an esque type relate. Yeah, it's like a related thing. But originally when I first started this was to help small businesses, and I'm not looking to onboard the large infrastructure companies. They have their own developers, they have their own teams, they can build something for themselves. Web3 is easier and easier to build in every day. So they should build if they truly believe in Web3. But I'm building for the people that can't. I'm building for the people that just need to be able to click and drag. So those include small and medium-sized businesses, individual single stakeholders, podcasters, creators, people of all types and all places. Because when you launch, when you pass the bonding curve with this pump feature that we're going to implement, you could be anywhere. It doesn't make a difference. We will be implementing KYC and AML practices very shortly. As soon as we launch the pump feature, that is the second framework that I want to protect users from rug pulls. I understand you want your transactions private, and that's fine. But if you're a bad actor, I don't want you in our app. So that's going to be strict.
One more question I want to ask, and that's more of a high level question looking at the future of tokenization. Obviously, this is something that you guys are working on with AdVNFT in your own right, but also, I'm curious how you might perceive that we trade value in the future in the global marketplace, how that might shape up, where tokenization might go. Again, there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of directions it can go, and it might go all those directions. But from your own purview, what do you think it'll shape up to be?
I think everything belongs on a DEX. I don't believe that our asset infrastructure today can scale to the levels that our current administration wants it to. I believe the friction that we talked about earlier with the whole paperwork and validation and all that is important and it's necessary. But all of that can be streamlined if someone was willing to streamline it. There are many companies that are trying to do that. Lots of companies in venture are reinventing the process from, having an AI CPA to an AI legal counsel to an AI advisor. Everything can exist on the web, but value as a whole should be on a DEX, because who's to say that my house is worth what I say it's worth? or the comparable sales around my area are valid today, or the actual value, the equity that's there is actually real. You don't really know any of that. And the people that you rely on to give you that information have been following an antiquated infrastructure that's been in existence for 50 years, 100 years, or something like that. You can get more certainty by asking a question on Polymarket today than you can from someone with decades of experience, and even more than that. So there is no reason why value should not exist on a DEX. It really should. For too long, fraudsters and scammers have plagued the crypto ecosystem and have turned it upside down to where now we look like idiots. We look like morons trying to figure things out when everyone is screwing up the industry from a rug pull here to a rug pull there. Who's going to take you seriously? Nobody. So someone has to stand up and be the adult and say, look, we're builders, but we also have an incentive to make things legitimate and compliant with whatever the compliance method is, right? Whether it's fair, unfair, I don't know. But when sensible regulations come down from DC, we will abide by them and our industry will flourish. Because that's what we wanted to do in the first place, right? Bitcoin, decentralization, tokenization, right? Isn't that what we originally planned? And now it's been wiped off by centralized interests. I believe we can do that. I believe we should do that.
Well, it seems the narrative is going that direction anyways with the US. Thankfully, I think it's going to save the industry in the US from leaving and jumping ship, going overseas completely. So I'm very excited to see where we go the next few years with the industry. Obviously, this year's going to be very exciting. I think people are starting to really pencil in a lot of potential legislation that could get passed, a lot of laws that could go through to be much more supportive of the industry and help it to be more widely adopted across different sectors in the US. There's a crypto ball coming up. Any plans to attend any events or engagements this year? Anything crypto related? Whether it's at a private sector level, public sector level, how are you guys getting involved in the space?
So we attend events I personally attend events all the time, but like I said before, we're building, we're busy. We have no time for promotions and all that stuff. I got you responded to my email. I appreciate the chance to be on here, but we don't do that often. I try and bring out the value of the application as opposed to just pumping it. I don't want to do that. That's not the goal. Yeah, we want to build it. We want to make it work. I've always been a fixer, repair guy. Let me just fix it up. And so right now, if you were to ask me what we're looking for beta testers. We don't need money. We don't need capital. I'm not raising for this. This is coming out mostly out of my own personal pocket. And I believe in it to this extent that I've been self-funding it for a few years now. So we're looking for influencers. We're looking for supporters, people who would try our app, help us improve it, join our Discord. We're running contests and subscriptions all the time on socials. But it's hard to cut through the noise, but we're trying. We're a new app. We have something to prove. But we refuse to participate in any kind of scams that violate my personal code of ethics. So we just build and hope that others would appreciate what we build and our approach to legitimizing real world assets.
How can people beta test? What's the best way for them to help you guys out? Do you have a formal process for that, a submission form that they should go through, or is it more broadly like to just give you feedback on everything as it comes out?
I just want a waterfall of feedback. If you join my Discord, you're in the general chat or influencer chat, whatever the categories we go through. I just want raw, fuck you, Val, this isn't working. Like, that's what I want. Here's why. Here's the screenshot. Great, thank you. We'll fix that. That's what I want. So ambush me with everything that's not working. Let my developers fix it for you. And then eventually, as we start growing and our community grows, we'll start holding office hours and various ways to help users use the app to its maximum potential.
Do you guys have any social profiles, communities, anywhere people? Yeah, I think you did mention Discord, right? And where can people go to be a part of the Ad Valorem community and kind of interact and give that feedback?
The easiest way to do that is to just go straight to the site nft.advalorem.io, and yeah, we have an X account that's growing, but mainly the Discord is where I live. Everything else is kind of like social stuff, posting here and there, videos, whatever. But I live on Discord. You will always find me there if you join, and I will really appreciate it. So for being a beta user, you never know, you might even get a free subscription from us. So come on and join.
Send me over those links later on. We'll put those in the description for the episode. So if anyone wants to go and find some of those places, communities, X, whatnot, they can do so. But Val, this has been a great episode, really good conversation. Love what you guys are doing with AdVNFTs and tokenization. And from both a creator side and a business approach, I think you guys have something really cool here. So excited to see what you guys do in 2025, and keep me updated on everything that comes out, especially with Pump and Vault.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for your time.
Likewise. Take care. We'll talk soon, and we'll do another episode in the near future.
Cool. Thank you.